Maine Knows How. Brought to you by A&G Shooting, Modern Woodmen of America, Mainly Handrails, Pine Grove Programs, Digital Spirit Media, and J.W. Parks Golf Course. Maine Knows How.
For edition of Maine Knows How. I'm here surrounded by Hows. I got a Bob and I've got a Wyatt.
Yeah.
Welcome, guys.
Yeah, good to see you again.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
You made it another month.
Made it another month. So bear hunting is over.
Yeah.
It is.
We had some great times. We had some great
Yep.
people. We had a really good time. Yeah.
Maybe, hopefully we can roll a few pictures.
Yeah.
We'll incorporate them into the podcast so people can see some of the happy hunters, whether they went home with a bear or not.
Yep.
But we're gearing up for October, which is a good time.
Yeah.
There's still some fishing out there.
Yeah. Fishing's still good if you know where to go. Specific ponds and areas are open, and it's great fishing right now. The water's cooler. The fish are going into spawn. They're a lot more aggressive. And so it's very good fishing if you know where to go.
Bob, you were saying the Kennebec is open fishing?
Yeah, some of it is.
East outlet, west outlet.
Yeah.
Fly fishing and catch and release and, but...
How about the lower Kennebec? The stripers, are they all gone?
No, they came back in again.
Yep.
They
I knew they
will
came in
October.
September.
Yep. They'll move back out again.
Okay.
Yep. But it's a very time of year, there's a lot of stuff going on. So.
Right. A lot of changes going on, a lot of dogs barking.
Yeah, dogs bark.
Things
They do.
along that
Almost every
line.
dog barks. Crazy!
But we also have the Jampetruzzi bird hunt coming.
We do. This has been going on a long time. And
Hey, baby.
Dave helped us out a lot in the program, and we call it his hunt. And we have guys that come with their bird dogs, and we host a lot of them here, and some come for a week. And they take guys for a couple days, and then the rest of the time they hunt themselves.
Right.
And we have, Springer dogs, and we have pointing dogs, and German short hairs, and all different kinds.
And there is a prize for anybody who can spell Jampetruzzi.
Right.
Yeah. Right. We haven't given that one out yet.
And since we don't have phone books anymore, nobody can look it up, right?
Exactly. And so that's good. And they'll get some grouse and some woodcock, and it's a good event, and so they have fun.
Some partridge out there.
There is.
Yep.
There is.
And really, what's on the horizon is the deer season.
It is. Yep.
But as I understand, it's always coyote season.
It is. The coyote season's all the time.
So we'll be talking a little bit more about that soon.
Yeah. It's a bow season is going on right now, and there's a lot of bow hunters out, and some of them are successful and some aren't. Just be careful with those tree stands and enjoy the season.
It's rabbit season.
It's rabbit season too.
Yeah. And so we've done that at the Jampetruzzi hunt as well. If we have extra people that want to go do something else, we'll take them out rabbit hunting. And so we've been preparing ourselves and preparing the dogs for months now. In addition to all the other things that we've been doing, we've been training the dogs. And you can start training your dogs in July. So we started then, and we just continuously were exercising the beagles, getting them out, getting them trained up and practiced. And basically, when the rabbit season ends, dogs go on vacation for a little bit, and then they get back to work. They get back into.
And the conditions in the spring are a lot different than in the fall.
It is. And you have different dogs. Some work really well on bare ground, and some work really well on snow. Yeah, but it's all just learning and practice for them overall.
So
they have to get into shape.
How do you train them to go after rabbit? Is it just an instinct that they have, or?
Yeah, well, beagles themselves have been rabbit dogs for hundreds of years. That's what their breed was for.
Right.
That's why every beagle you ever see pretty much has a white tip on the end of its tail. And that's so the hunters on horseback could see them in the underbrush. There's a little white flag sticking up out of the brush. And so they're rabbit dogs naturally. And then we just work with them to bring that out and so they can figure out what exactly they're supposed to be hunting and doing.
Right.
So we have the benefit of having a lot of adult dogs where they know what they're doing, and we can bring a puppy along and they can learn from the adult dogs. If you don't have that, you can actually go to a rabbit pen where you can have someone else train them for you, and it's an enclosed area with the rabbit.
Oh, really? And they learn the scent, and they learn to chase and to spot.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, never, ever a dull moment at the lodge.
No.
So it's fall is my favorite time of year, and it's the seasons are changing, and you still get the warmth of the day, but the cool of the night. That's why we live in Maine. It's like no other.
Nice.
So it's a great place. Well, we'll be back in just a few minutes, and we'll have a special discussion about coyote hunting and techniques for that. So stay with us. We'll be back in a minute.
Maine Knows How is brought to you by J.W. Parks Golf Course in Pittsfield, a 9-hole facility with a full-service pro shop and driving range offering daily fee golf and membership opportunities. And by A&G Shooting, a brick-and-mortar gun shop offering firearms training and 100% customer satisfaction. And by Digital Spirit Media, providing over 30 years of technical expertise in media production and event production services.
Welcome back to Maine Knows How, and we have a special guest this week, but because Bob never talks, I'm going to pitch it to him and make him do some talking. Bob, who's our guest?
Our guest is Seth Edwards, and he's a great coyote hunter. And I hope you guys all can learn something from him because he knows how to do it right. And so we'll talk a little bit about this. And this is his firearm that he uses, and he was gracious enough to bring it in so everybody can see. And he hunts mostly at night with calls. And we'll let Seth tell you a little bit about his firearm that he uses and some of the techniques that he uses.
Well, first of all, Bob, I appreciate you inviting me up here. It's really an honor, and any chance to talk about hunting, you can count me in. I've been, hunting coyotes at night mostly for past probably 5 or 6 years, and I kind of dabbled in baiting for a while, off and on, but never got too excited about it. And then I decided to pick up a scope and throw it on a deer rifle, and got more into it. And then one morning I came out because I have a farm and I had 30 dead chickens out there.
Oh boy.
So I sat there and waited for it, and I killed that coyote.
Yeah.
It's been on ever since.
Wow.
Because they're all related.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All working together.
It's a conspiracy.
Yeah, so I do mostly calling. Like I said, I do it at night. I use a Pulsar thermal scope here and 243 rifle. This one's just a little bit different than a deer rifle, the way it's set up, but run a suppressor on there and have a lot of fun.
It's nice, isn't it? And you were really aggravated by those coyotes killing you. This is not a cheap investment.
It isn't, no, but that was just the start. Then it turned out it was really fun.
Fun,
So I've been addicted ever since, and
Yeah.
do it as often as I can within the seasons.
And your season is long in Maine.
It is. It is.
Which
We're
makes
very
it-
fortunate.
Yeah, it makes it nice.
They try to attack it every once in a while like they did last year, but, we got a very good season. Mid-December until end of August is pretty fair.
Yep. And the benefit you're doing to all the other hunters in the woods.
Hope so.
Absolutely. They should shake your hand every time them deer hunters see you.
Yep.
Because you saved a lot of deer's lives.
It's made a difference on my farm. 2 years ago, I killed 12 coyotes off my farm.
Yep.
And then I saw a huge influx of deer in the
Absolutely,
area. They're just not getting the pressure that they had been.
Right. In town here, before we started coyote hunting very much around here, they tagged 77 deer last year because of all the coyote hunting that's going on now. Over 269 deer. So that's big.
That is
difference.
big. That is big.
So all you guys, all these coyote hunters all over the state, really making an influx on these.
No doubt about it.
Wow, son of a gun. When you're calling at night, Are you using a certain kind of call? Are you using bird calls? Are you using predator calls? Or?
I use primarily an electronic caller. It's a Fox Pro call.
Yeah.
And, depending on the season, I vary things up a little bit. So, like right now, pups are getting older. They're kind of getting away from their dens a little bit, kind of exploring. They haven't really broken up yet.
Right.
So I'm using a lot of coyote vocals to kind of get their attention, some pup fights, just pup sounds, that type of stuff. As we go into winter, there's two things going on. First of all, they're hungry. So you're trying to just hit triggers on these coyotes, right? So try to tap into the hungry trigger, and then they're getting ready for breeding season.
Right.
So trying to make some of those sounds as well. So it's a variety of stuff, that I throw at them.
Yeah. So you're mainly using like coyote vocalizations.
That's mainly what I use.
Yeah.
Yep.
And how do you choose like where you go and what places you choose?
Well, as you guys know, we're mostly wooded here in Maine. So with a system like this, it's unlike what they portray on TV. It's not X-ray, right?
Yeah.
You can't see through trees and bushes. So I have to be in an open area, so fields primarily. And, so I start there, right? I start on Onyx or Hunt Stand looking for open areas. And then I start looking at surrounding things. I like to hunt somewhere near waterways. And, then just kind of make my decisions from there. A lot of times I'll just go in blind, like out west, you see them do some locating and that kind of stuff. And I just don't have the time maybe.
Right.
And what I do seems to work for me. So I just go in there and start calling. And of course the wind is the biggest thing, as you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can smell you from miles away sometimes, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. And so like what times are you going out and coming back? Like, is it just after dark or is it in the middle of the night or?
I vary it. So some nights, if I'm a little bit tired, I'll sleep until like midnight and then get up and hunt until daylight. And some nights, if I'm not tired, then I'll just hunt as long as I can into the night and get some sleep then. I've had a lot of people ask me which is better. I see both sides of it. They're coming out at both ends of that.
They're active most of the night.
Yep. And of course, our wintertime is a lot longer compared to right now. So that changes things up a little bit. If you want to hunt till midnight, you only got 3 hours of darkness.
Right.
It kind of slows down your hunting.
But they're hungry in the winter in particular.
They are. Yep. I mean, they're hungry year round, of course, but this time of year, they've got grasshoppers. I killed one that was right full of night crawlers.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So insects and, mice and that kind of thing. So, but in the wintertime, of course, they're less food, so they're more hungry.
Right.
I know when we have our baits out, it's incredible to see how much they eat over the course of a couple days.
Yep.
Like we put out a full-size deer carcass, and it will be gone in 3 days. Just nothing but bones.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Baiting is a messy business.
It is. I would agree with you.
Business.
Yeah.
I mean, we put 100 and something deer carcasses out every year, and lots of other stuff. And you got to store it and carry it and lug it and bring it out, and it's a messy business.
It's not too bad if it's always frozen.
Right.
Yeah, they start to thaw out, the things get a little rough.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you need some planning around that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
then if it's too frozen, you can't get it out of the barrel, so you need to do some planning before it freezes so you can get it out.
Yeah.
You have the right barrel.
Right
Doesn't have a
barrel.
lip on the top.
Yep, you're exactly right.
Son of a gun. Wow, there's a lot of things to take into consideration.
Yeah.
And now with hunting with a scope like that, years ago we didn't have that kind of equipment, and we'd try to hunt these with regular rifle scopes.
Right.
And we would set up on a pond at night, and we would use a white balloon or a black balloon and put stripes on it and spray it with fox urine on a piece of fishing line and put it out there. And you had to have the right moonlight.
Yeah.
So you can get a background on
Right.
them. And you can't be shadowed, because if the moon comes up on this side and you've got 300 yards of shadow, then you can't see them.
Right.
Because we only had regular scopes. So now it makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah. Talking about scopes, how did you come to start using the pulsar instead of maybe like a night vision instead of a thermal?
Well, I will say that I started with like Bob probably did, and maybe you as well, but red lights.
Yep.
I started there, and then I went into night vision, And then I just decided to pony up one day, get into a thermal.
Yeah.
Now I'm on my third thermal, and here we are now.
And which one is this?
This is it's called the Thermion 2 XG50 with laser rangefinder.
Yeah.
Very cool. Wow. And what does something like that run?
That is probably off the top of my head, retail like 6,500 or so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah. So it's a major investment.
It is a major investment.
It's a lot of chickens.
But the way I figure it, yeah, you're right.
That's all right.
But the way I figure it, some guys have boats, some guys have Harley Davidsons.
Right.
I got a scope.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can do this year round.
Right.
You can only ride that Harley so long.
This is my recreation.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
this is what I enjoy.
Everyone has to have something.
That's right.
Exactly.
And what's the range you like to engage?
Ideally, I'd have them at 50 yards, so I never miss. But it all depends on the coyotes. You know, sometimes they'll come in and they'll come into that 50-yard range, and sometimes they'll hang up out there at 200, and
Yep.
you know, there's no coaxing them in. So you got to try to take a
Take it
shot
from
there. But this laser rangefinder is pretty unique in that it adjusts or it gives you a second reticle inside your scope, so it tells you basically where to shoot at.
Where the path is going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to you having to
Right.
check your
Put
elevation.
your Kentucky
Yep.
windage into it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You put all your calculations into it. It's all over your phone and connects to your scope. And you know your ballistic coefficient of your rounds, the weight of your bullets, obviously the caliber, and all that stuff plugged right into there. Pretty
Is
awesome.
that part of the scope or is that an attachment?
That's part of the scope.
Is it nice?
Yep. Yep. I've been real happy with this scope. I'm sure there'll be newer technology that comes along, but this has been a great scope.
Yeah. Good.
So are you in a blind of a sort when you're doing this? Or
I'm
you
not, and I tell you, it's kind of why I got away from baiting. Is I don't really have that much patience. I can stand there for 20, 25 minutes, and then I'm ready to move on. You know, so this works well for me. I just go out there in the field, and on nights where it's not a lot of moonlight, I can just stand there in the middle of the field and be fine. On moonlit nights, I try to back up to some cover, but I do my calling for 20, 25 minutes, and if I don't hear anything or don't think there's anything right there, I'm backing up and moving to the next spot. So I try to hit, 5 or 6 spots a night.
So you're not tied to a bait. You're stalking them essentially.
Yeah, just bouncing around.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just like Lenny hunting his deer
Right.
that we spoke about a couple months ago,
Right.
to out there stalking the coyotes.
Yeah.
And they're fairly plentiful. I mean, I've always been shocked at how many coyotes there are. It's just a matter of finding them.
Right. Yeah. Oftentimes people will hear them, but never see them. Sometimes guys deer hunting will have them come through from time to time, but there is quite a bit. But, I talked to John Collins. He works for Fox Pro, which is an electric call company that I use. And he was saying he lives in Kentucky and does a lot of coyote hunting down there, but he goes all across the nation coyote hunting. And he was saying, whatever we have here in the East, you can double that where he is in Kentucky. And then from there, you can double it again to out West, so.
Really?
And I think he's only been as far as like Pennsylvania. So relatively speaking, I don't think we have a huge population, but there's certainly plenty of them. And
Yeah.
glad to keep them in check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine there being 4 times as many. That's amazing that there are that many out there.
Yeah. If you ever take a look at social media sites for coyote hunting, you'll see the guys out west. They'll just stack them up in a night.
Yeah, they'll fill that tailgate right
Oh,
full,
yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
That's something.
It's crazy.
Tell me about that, the caliber you're using. And I've gone to that same caliber. I use 243 as
Yeah.
well. I was using a 223, and they were running off with that, even with heavy loads.
Yep.
And I never had one run off with this yet.
No, this is a 243, like you said, and I found that it anchors them pretty good. It's a 75 grain bullet I'm running in there.
Yeah.
I did the same thing. I started out with a 223 because I had an AR.
Yep.
And I think our coyotes are just a little bit bigger than some of the other places in the U.S. where they're using them effectively.
Right.
And their will to survive is just unbelievable. They can take some rounds
They can.
on a 223. So yeah, I switched to a 243, and I'm on my second one now.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I'll probably stick with it. I get a little excited about guns and maybe drift off into some of these new calibers, but
Right.
it works pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Wow. Pretty cool.
It's easy to chase the next best thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And by using a suppressor, you're not disturbing anybody in the neighborhood because these coyotes live right in residential areas.
That's
They're
right.
eating your cats and they're eating your little doggies, and they're eating your chickens. And, and so what you're really doing is patrolling the neighborhood,
Right.
you know?
Yep. Yeah, where I live is kind of a lot of farm country, if you will. And, the farmers give me permission to go out behind their house. And I think it's the least I can do to try to suppress my bullet noise to not disturb them.
Right.
And sometimes I think it gives you a better opportunity at a second shot. If you need it, or a second shot for a second coyote. I think that suppressor, I mean, obviously they hear it, but I think it kind of dulls it down enough so maybe they can't identify quite what it is or where it's coming from.
Right. Yeah, it changes the echo.
Exactly.
And I've had them shoot at them, and they come running towards you because it bounced off the trees behind them. They thought it was behind them, see?
Yeah. I've also found, of course, that, the older I get, the worse my hearing gets. And the suppressor has helped tremendously for that aspect.
After you harvest these coyotes, what are you doing with them? Are you skinning them out and doing
I'm not
anything?
personally skinning them out. I take them to a friend of mine.
Nice.
He's a retired firefighter.
Yeah.
And he's big into trapping. So I take them to him, and I take them whole. He skins them out, tans them.
Nice.
For the winter coyotes.
Right,
The summer ones,
exactly.
they don't have that great a fur. But yeah, last year he made a nice blanket for my daughter.
Wow.
Put on her bed.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to mess with them in the summertime because they don't have a flea collar.
No. No, they are covered in ticks.
Yeah, ticks.
Are they?
Oh, yeah.
It's unbelievable. I'll take them out of the back of my truck because I don't want to leave anything out there if they're haying or whatever. And I'd like to.
Yeah.
Because they are disgusting.
Yeah.
The bottom of the truck will be covered in ticks and fleas and gross.
So, my God.
So, what are some of the adventures you've had, or some of the stories you can share? Your exploits over the past 6 or 7 years.
Well, probably one of my better nights that I'll tell you about was just the same thing. It was, I even forget, I think it was early spring a couple of years ago, just doing what I do, going out and calling. And I ended up getting 2. So I was pretty excited about that. To get a double in Maine is pretty good. And went to another spot and got 2 more.
Nice.
So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. I've had 2 guns pulled on me in the past. One was a homeowner and one was a friend of the homeowner. I had permission to be where I was. They knew I was there, but yeah.
So they came up to you with you carrying a rifle?
Well, the first case, yeah, essentially, yeah. But they can't see me at night with my rifle. They just saw a vehicle pull in.
Oh,
and so they're coming out of the house with a pistol. What the heck's going on out here? And start chasing after me.
Yep.
And then the other one.
Let that be a lesson learned to everybody not in Maine. We all have guns.
Yeah, the second one, I could hear him walking down the road. And he had an AR-15 and he had it leveled.
Yeah.
He was not excited that I was there.
Oh, my word.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a interesting conversation.
I should say. That's amazing.
I've known quite a few coyote hunters over the years. And usually these coyote hunters are really good sportsmen because you got to be in tune to what's going on in the environment. So do you hunt anything else, or do you just hunt coyotes? Do you do any other kind of hunting?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm totally addicted to all things hunting. Deer is my big thing.
That's it.
I pretty much take off all of November and don't answer my phone or do anything else. But that was obviously my passion when I grew up as a kid, was deer hunting.
Yeah.
And I transitioned into other things. But no, I guide for moose hunts and bear hunts.
Wow. Well, is there somebody that you guide for in the area?
Yep, there's 2 outfits that I guide for.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
First one is 207 Outfitters.
Excellent.
Out of Mars Hill. So I'll be guiding a week of bear for them this year. Yeah. And then the second one is Epic Adventures, and be doing 2 moose hunts in Zone 1.
Great.
For the bull weeks this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
good luck.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, that's always great fun.
It is fun. That's
Wow.
the best thing about guiding. You can hunt all the time.
Yeah, we do.
I also heard that you put some content on YouTube.
Yes. Yep. So I have my own YouTube channel where I film through the scope and then, try to tell people. I don't try to hide anything. I'm, I guess, subscriber to the theory that if I can get somebody else interested in what I'm interested in, they'll help fight for it.
Right.
So I'm not afraid to share what I do on YouTube, but it's, Seth Edwards Outdoors on YouTube.
Oh.
So you actually share truth about where you're hunting and what you're shooting, unlike fishermen that we had last month who won't tell us where his best trout ponds are.
Yeah, no, I didn't say where. I said how.
His best trout pond wouldn't be his best trout pond.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Good spots don't last long when you kill them all off.
Wow. Very nice. Cool.
Well, the way I look at things is that if that's your third scope, that's about guaranteed that you're riding the same pickup that you had 10 years ago.
That one died, unfortunately.
So you got to do something to support this habit.
Yeah, I'm fortunate. I was in the state police for, until retirement. So I'm retired now. And as we talked about, I do some guiding. We have a farm. I do maple syrup.
Excellent.
And I have some cows and stump grinding, forestry mulching. There's not much I don't do, but that's all what keeps me busy during the day, that and my 2 kids.
That's awesome. It's something to be said for getting out and just getting dirty.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it's I'm sure your time in the state police had its own stress and time demands.
Yep.
Very much aware.
Yep. During that time, they keep you pretty busy.
Yep.
And of course, I elected to do extra things, so keeps you even more busy. But
Yep.
this is a nice time for me to relax a little bit.
Well, welcome to the other side of the equation.
Thank you. This is the best club I've ever been a part of.
And I bet you get more sleep, even though you're up half the night.
Yeah, no,
hunting.
I don't. No.
No?
This keeps me up at
That
night.
keeps you up. Yeah. No doubt.
Wow.
So at Pine Grove Programs, as you know, we do these outdoor adventures, including coyote hunting and things along that line for law enforcement, veterans, and first responders. And, just wondered your thoughts on that, on our program, and, what other information you could share about the stresses of being a police officer, knowing the first responders and the stresses that they go through on a daily basis.
Yeah. First of all, it's a noble cause that Pine Grove Programs does. A lot of times these guys are just forgotten about.
Yeah.
So fitting into all 3 of those categories, being a veteran, a former first responder, and a retired trooper, there's a lot. Obviously the high stress situations everybody reads about in the paper. What they don't necessarily read about is what the police officers go through, after the fact, or even someone that didn't pull the trigger. Say it was that kind of scenario. They were still there. They still have the effects of the stress and all that stuff. So have the opportunity to get together with like-minded people, or people that are, do the same thing that they did and kind of decompress a little bit outside of the job and do something different, try something new, meet some great people.
Yep.
It's a very noteworthy cause, and I support it wholeheartedly.
Well, I don't know, I'm a veteran. And as when you're a soldier, you pretty much know where you're going, when you're going, how long you'll be there, and when you're coming back. And Uncle Sam does a pretty good job at de-stressing us, after we come back. But I just have such an admiration, or I don't even know if that's the right word, but how a police officer or even a first responder shows up to a site and there's a fatality or somebody shoots at you, you got to go home after that.
Right. No, it's entirely true. And there's no decompression necessarily.
That's right. There's no time. You got to go from police officer witnessing horrible things and taking terrible risks to going home and reading a bedtime story with your 4-year-old.
Right, and trying to hold it together, and your honey-do list, and all the things that everybody else has in their life, but you just experienced something very, very stressful one way or the other.
Yeah, and it's just not one time.
Right.
And from what I understand, talking to a lot of my state police friends, is that some people seem to be magnets for it.
Yeah, that's true in all lines of work, I think.
Oh my God.
But no, it really is. It's an amazing thing, a service that first responders and law enforcement do. Especially, I wish people had a better picture. I wish there was a YouTube page, so to speak, of the real deal about what it's like doing every day. And you have the different shows on TV about it,
Right.
which are all what they are.
Right.
But it doesn't take much to get yourself into a tough spot. And I wish people, especially in Maine, understood the threats that are really out there, because there's so many of us that just kind of go through life not paying attention.
Right.
When
it's not in your world, you don't
see it.
You don't see it.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I think working in rural Maine for most of my career, that a lot of the people around have an appreciation for law enforcement, and they understand the greater concept of it. They don't see the day to day, but I think that's the case.
Yeah. Well, you're one of the first in our group that is a trifecta. You checked all the blocks. And just want to thank you for your service, not only to your country, but to your state, and everything you've done, and the wonderful job you're doing retaliating against the coyotes for your chickens. Their deaths will not be in vain.
No, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity to come up here and visit with you guys and talk a little coyote hunting.
Wow.
Well, we'll make sure everybody gets out to your website.
Yeah, Seth Edwards Outdoors on YouTube.
On YouTube. And we look forward to meeting up with you again.
Thank you very much.
All right, Seth. Hey, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
How does somebody find your maple syrup?
Eureka Farms.
Eureka Farms.
Yeah, EUREKA, right in Palmyra. We have a website as well, eurekafarmsmaine.com. So
Nice.
right there.
Excellent. I hope some of these folks that are watching give you a call.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
Seth. Thanks, Bob. Thanks for bringing that up. We just want to talk a little bit more, but we'll get back to you in a few minutes. Thanks.
Maine Knows How is brought to you by Modern Woodmen of America, a member-owned fraternal financial services organization since 1883. And by Pine Grove Programs, supporting veterans, first responders, and law enforcement by providing free outdoor opportunities to those who serve, have served, and their families.
Welcome back to Maine Knows How. It's time of the show for the how-to with Wyatt.
Yeah. So this month's how-to is we're talking about getting your dogs ready for rabbit season. And one of the things that we like to do is we like to bring them for walks or for runs, and we will do it on the pavement. And what that does is it grinds down their nails naturally. So you don't have we have 15 beagles, and they don't like getting their nails clipped at all.
I haven't met a dog that does.
No.
Yeah.
So this is a way that you can do it, and it will keep their nails short without having to actively trim their nails.
Now you take them right out on the road out here?
Yeah.
And since there's only 2 cars that go by every day.
There's a lot of traffic, It's two a day is a lot. So another thing that does is as they're running on that pavement, it's a hard surface, it's rough, and it creates calluses on the bottom of their pads. And it hardens their pads up for when they're running through crusty snow or on sticks. Mm-hmm. It allows those to have more protection from those dangers of the ground.
Right.
So those are 2 things that two reasons why we like to run them on the pavement. Another thing is when you're training them and running them early season, when there's no snow on the ground, there's a lot more sticks and leaves and just pine needles, and those are all things that can get in their eyes and their nose. And those are all irritants. And so you have to be careful, especially early season. Later season, but not quite as much. That you clean out those eyes and make sure they don't have any sticks or anything in their eyes, because those will, if they're left there, they can irritate them, hurt their eye, and then even cause infection later. So those are a couple things that just to be wary of during the early season when you're training dogs and getting them ready.
So when you talk about running your dogs out on the road, I have this mental image of your dad out there in a jogging suit.
3 leashes in each hand. He's going down the road. Now, so we have created this monstrosity that we call the dog cart.
The dog cart.
So it's a golf cart. I think we may have shown a photo of it on one of the previous episodes, where it's this like golf cart. We've lifted it up, put it on 4-wheeler tires, and then it has 2 long PVC pipes, each one long enough that it sticks out on each side. So you have like 2 or 3 feet of pipe sticking out on each side.
Right.
So you have 4, and then on the end of each of those has 2 chains. So you can hook 8 dogs on this golf cart, and then you can have 2 in the back that you can switch out when one of them gets tired.
So when they start being dragged,
you'll see them when they first start. They'll be pulling the cart, and then they'll move to the middle,
right,
and they'll kind of slow down a little bit, and then you take them and you switch them out, and we bring water for them and stuff so they can drink. And so that's how we run all of these dogs. Because if we were doing it one at a time, one or two at a time, it would be out there all day.
Well, you guys would be at the Olympics right now.
Exactly, it's true, very true. Yeah. So it's
ingenious.
A constant thing that we're trying to take care of our dogs and make sure that they're at the top of their game.
And the calluses on their feet, really, and I know Bob has mentioned that in the past, especially in the spring.
Yeah.
If their paws aren't tough, you're not going to get much hunting.
We're hunting with them every day.
Yeah.
And using them constantly. If they were to split that pad of their foot, that's going to be a problem for a long time, because it takes longer. It takes so long for that to heal fully.
Right.
So if you split the pad early season, now you have to keep that dog in the box for a couple weeks, let that heal, when you should be using it.
Yeah. And these dogs are at their happiest when they're out there.
Yeah, there's nothing they want more.
They don't want to be in the box.
No. No. Everyone's mad when you leave them behind.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
With that said, again, it's October, and last month I mentioned that Bob was going to have a deer story for us, but he said no. Tim, it's bird season, and I have a bird story to tell, is what Bob has said. So, Bob, it's either a bird story or a story about iguanas.
All right. Well, prior to me buying the lodge, I was a goose and duck hunter. And I had labs. I always had beagles and coon dogs, but I always raised labs. And I had one exceptional lab. And I didn't raise the dog. The dog was given to me by a friend of mine. And when his dad passed on, he said, "I know you'd hunt the dog, Bob, so we'd like to give you the dogs." He had 2 of them. Well, this was a very unusual dog. He was so smart and just a beautiful dog. So anyway, we would hunt in cattails as high as the ceiling, and that dog would find ducks that we killed in the Missalongski bog. We would go in there, myself and Keith Guerin, and we would push the canoe in there and you couldn't see nothing. That dog would find them birds all the time, you know. So anyway, we were hunting on the Kennebec River. We walked down in the morning. And I walked out and set up the decoys. And you could hear the ducks going by. Couldn't see them, so foggy. Just, so I blow this cog. It didn't go quack. What? It kept trying, it wouldn't work. It just made some stupid noise. Took it all apart, tried to fix it, couldn't get it. Finally, I threw that son of a gun. It was a wooden duck call. Threw it in the river, right? Then we hear sitting quiet, nothing. What the heck did you throw the call away for? It didn't work. He says, "Well, a call that don't work is better than a call that we didn't have." I said, "Caesar, fetch." Dog jumps in. fog. You can't. The river's flowing by. Standing there, I said, that dog ain't coming back.
It's gonna be out in the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah. Just gone. Couldn't even hear him. So, uh-oh. So I waited and waited. I said, maybe I better call to him. So I called. Nothing. Called again. Nothing. I said, oh, shit. I messed up now. And it must have been 15 minutes, 20 minutes. We splash, 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 coming up the river. I said, phew. Glad he came back. He comes in, sits down, duck call in his mouth. Sitting like that. He said,
That's a good boy.
yeah. He said, oh my God. Never. We didn't get any ducks. We couldn't see nothing. But he found that damn duck call floating down the river after all that time. So you don't have dogs like that very often
No.
in a lifetime.
Yeah.
He was a unique dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caesar, king of
Caesar.
dogs.
He was I still got a picture of him on the wall over there. Yep.
Excellent.
Yep. So that's one of the bird stories.
All right. So
told-
I'll challenge you. Next month is November.
All right.
You better start thinking of a good deer story for next month.
I have a lot of good deer stories.
All right. I'm sure you do.
Yeah. Jeez.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for watching the show today. We'll be back again next month. But in the meantime, get out there, get out into Mother Nature, enjoy the outdoors, take the family with you, and we'll see you next month. This is signing off from Maine Knows Howe.
Maine Knows How. Brought to you by A&G Shooting, Modern Woodmen of America, Mainly Handrails, Pine Grove Programs, and J.W. Parks Golf Course. Digital Spirit Media. Maine Knows How